So as a parent, you might be wondering, how can I make sure that my late teenager, my early young adult is ready to fly the coop and doesn't develop a sense of unhealthy dependence like sometimes we worry about nowadays? Well, let me tell you a story. A friend of mine had a friend who had 4 children. And the first one graduated high school and didn't move out. The second one graduated and didn't move out until she got to the third. And same thing happened. She was wondering, what do I do to help these kids become independent? When the final one graduated, she packed her bags, rented a 1-bedroom apartment, and left a note on the fridge that said the rent is paid for 3 months and there's food in the fridge. When it's gone, it's all up to you. Now, you don't want to be that parent probably who has to go that far. So I would say I have a few tips for you. First of all, start early and often. If you want them to be independent when they're 20, you need to start teaching that independence when they're 5. Now, I'm not saying kick them out of the house when they're 5 years old, but from early on, you begin helping kids to learn that they can do and be confident at responsibilities. In the home, it might be simply putting away their toys as a young child. But when they move into adolescence, of course, they'll be expected to have more things that they have to do. So whether it's chores, managing money. So it's the early expectation, but also the consistent expectation. So regularly going and making sure the child's being accountable to fulfilling their responsibilities. Now, as they get older, that is much more in depth than it is when they're a young child. So you're expecting things like, as a teenager, hopefully doing things like doing their own laundry, ironing their own clothes even, because these are the things that they have to do when they're on their own. So we build in expectations early on. But then the hard part comes, is we allow them to make mistakes and we allow them to fail. Now that can wrench at a parent's heart. I know, we don't want to see our children hurt. But what our role can be when that occurs is to coach them through the difficulty. So if they've hurt somebody else, coach them through it. How do they apologize? If they've been hurt, how do they offer forgiveness? If they don't put in the effort at a job they're supposed to do or at their schoolwork, how do they deal with the consequences of that? We allow them to experience those while they're under our wing, let's say, so that they can more easily do it when they're not under our wing. We also need to allow them to begin to depend upon other people. It can be hard when we see them asking for advice from a coach or a youth pastor or even their best friend instead of asking us as their parents. But allowing that independence on their part teaches them that it's okay to find people to depend on elsewhere. So we allow that. We try not to feel competitive. We try not to feel jealous, but instead recognize that it's a healthy, normal part of their adolescence to move their dependence towards somebody else. And then we look inside. We look at how we're feeling about them moving on. It's a role transition, especially when we've had kids in the home for years. And so we have to learn how to fill that time somewhere else and have a healthy, new type of relationship with our growing adult. In the midst of it, that means not using guilt trips, not using other types of manipulation or control to get them to do what we want. But instead, we foster that independence by being boldly supportive of them, giving them confidence. When they're 2 and when they're 17, if they know their parent is backing them, they feel so much more safe and secure to go out into the world and explore it and to figure out who they are. So be that support behind them, back them up, and they'll grow and become independent, healthy adults.